just leaving Subway and I have my little stalker waiting for me, watching me walk out. Told you guys they love to park right there. I don't think you people understand how close you are to killing me.
A woman named Lisa Legg from Riverside, California began documenting a disturbing series of events that she believed were part of a coordinated plan to put her under 24/7 surveillance. She claimed that the individuals responsible were not acting alone, but were working as part of a systemized effort involving civilians, neighbors, and possibly government actors. Lisa Legg referred to this phenomenon as gangstalking. Gangstalking is the belief that you're being followed, harassed, or psychologically manipulated by an organized network. And it's not just Lisa who believes this. Entire online communities have been formed around this idea, like r/gangstalking on Reddit. Here, thousands of self-proclaimed targeted individuals, or TIs for short, share their experiences. These users swear that there are tactics being used on them, including repeated noise disturbances, strangers performing street theater to provoke them, manipulation of technology, and the belief that people in their lives, often including close family members, have been recruited to participate in this campaign. For most people, this all sounds absolutely unhinged, and in many cases, it is. Mental health professionals widely categorize these beliefs under delusional disorder or paranoid schizophrenia. But the danger of gangstalking as a concept doesn't just lie in the belief itself. It's what people do because of it. There are now countless posts and videos from self-identified TIs. Many film strangers at grocery stores, accuse random drivers of following them, or post clips of regular people walking down the street. The evidence they put out is rarely compelling, and instead, it's more so invasive and defamatory. This means that an ordinary Tuesday for one person could instantly turn into someone else's perception of a menacing threat. And this can have terrible consequences, as we'll soon see in Lisa Legg's case. Lisa was an ex-mental health professional who's been posting videos online for years, claiming that the government is after her. According to her, everyday civilians are complicit, and they're strategically working together to ruin her life. Lisa's uploaded videos accusing strangers of stalking her at gyms, parking lots, and stores, filming them without their consent, and framing herself as the victim of an elaborate scheme. But besides her obvious invasion of strangers' privacy, there is another problem, a big one. You see, her behavior doesn't align with someone in crisis, it aligns with someone chasing attention. Her videos are well polished, and her stories always seem to escalate just when she needs it to, almost like it's staged. Strangely enough, at one point, she posted a video claiming that she had made $4,000 from just one of her viral posts. Apparently, she can't afford a lawyer to help her with the legal harassment, and despite alleging she was being financially destroyed by her stalkers, she recently took a luxurious vacation to Bali. But that's just one of the many holes in Lisa Legg's story, and her reason for why she's being targeted is even more far-fetched. In 2020, she claimed she had an inappropriate relationship with former U.S. Marshal Lenny DePaul. According to her, this was a romantic relationship that ultimately led to a massive federal conspiracy against her.
It was absolutely Lenny DePaul actively cheating on his wife. It was not just a conversation. We were naked on FaceTime together on multiple occasions over the course of the 2 months, and we were sending a lot of inappropriate photos to each other as well in the interim.
However, even by her own account, this relationship lasted only 2 months, took place entirely online, and the two never even met in person. Despite this, Lisa said she discovered he was married and then contacted his wife to inform her of the alleged affair. Following this, Lenny DePaul allegedly used his government connections to launch a full-scale federal investigation into her. At first, she said it began with minor invasions of privacy, like having her mail opened, for example. But by 2022, she escalated the claim significantly, alleging that she was under 24/7 surveillance by 20 to 30 federal agents. To be clear, this isn't just an offhanded claim she made once either. It's a narrative she has repeated time and time again across multiple videos and posts. This raises obvious questions. Why would a retired federal officer use resources to go after someone over a brief online interaction? Why would the FBI agencies deploy dozens of agents to surveil a woman who hasn't been charged with anything, who doesn't work in national security, and who has no apparent access to sensitive material. The claim is not just exaggerated, it's logistically and legally impossible. But Lisa presents it as fact, framing it as proof of her ongoing victimization. Then there's the incident from December of last year, which further undermines her credibility. In a now-deleted video, Lisa filmed herself walking out of a gym, claiming she was being followed. She focused the camera on 5 parked vehicles nearby that had government license plates, suggesting that they belonged to agents surveilling her. To her, this was an obvious setup, and she implied that the cars had been placed there specifically to intimidate her. But here's the actual story with full context. The gym Lisa was filming outside of is located directly next to an army recruiting center. This is something she intentionally failed to mention, and in fact, she even went out of her way to exclude the signage from the video. However, viewers quickly identified the center based on the visible decals on the windows, details she overlooked. Multiple users pointed this out in the comments, noting that it would make perfect sense for government vehicles to be parked there, since military recruiters often drive them. But rather than acknowledge the mistake, Lisa doubled down, denying the presence of any recruiting center near the gym, and repeatedly insisting the vehicles were proof she was being followed by federal agents. Eventually, after the backlash grew, she deleted the video entirely, simply erasing any evidence. It's a pattern she's got going. She makes a bold, unverified claim, is challenged with objective facts, deletes those comments, and then just deletes the entire post once it's clear the narrative won't hold up. And it's a bit ridiculous that she claims her life is in constant danger, yet somehow she still finds the time to sell merch and profit off of it. Look, I'm not a licensed psychologist, so I can't say whether or not she has a mental illness. But even then, it's plainly obvious that she's at least partly doing all of this to capitalize off of. Now, that alone isn't inherently wrong. People profit off of strange, niche, and even controversial content all the time. But the problem with her content is that it's not done to entertain an audience like an ARG, for example. Instead, she's feeding into the delusions of people who are genuinely suffering. The gangstalking community is full of vulnerable individuals who are isolated and afraid, and by validating their paranoia, she positions herself as a fellow victim and urges them to engage more with her videos, ultimately exploiting their mental illness. She's doing nothing but reinforcing dangerous thought patterns for financial gain, and the people who follow her are the ones paying the price. We've already seen how far these beliefs can go. Take the case of Aaron Alexis, for example, who, in 2013, underwent a psychotic break, shooting and killing 12 people in the Washington Navy Yard. He believed he was being targeted and harassed by electromagnetic low-frequency attacks that wanted to control him. In yet another case in 2023, a man named Sebastian Andrews fatally stabbed his neighbor, reportedly 104 times, because he believed his neighbor, the CIA, and the FBI were part of a global cult to target him. As you can see, mental health is not something to be taken lightly, and with gangstalking having a relatively large community, we need to be wary of people like Lisa who are clearly only amplifying the fears of these mentally fragile people. Although mainstream psychology generally classifies all of this under delusional disorder, specifically the persecutory type, the uniformity of the accounts across regions and cultures has actually drawn attention from researchers. A recurring belief among TIs is that they are the subjects of government or intelligence experiments related to crowd control, behavioral modification, and psychological warfare. But here's the thing, this belief isn't completely discreditable. If you know literally anything about history, you'll understand why. From the 1950s through to the 1970s, the CIA operated a series of covert programs like MKUltra, Project Artichoke, and Project Chatter. These initiatives were all aimed to develop methods for interrogation, memory erasure, mind control, and psychological manipulation. They're not conspiracies either, because the CIA themselves have confirmed it. Many of these programs were conducted on unwilling participants, and the scope of the human rights abuses only came to light during the Church Committee hearings in 1975. So, knowledge of these real events understandably creates a foundation of distrust in the government, particularly in intelligence agencies. When Edward Snowden revealed in 2013 that the NSA was conducting mass surveillance on domestic and foreign populations, including metadata collection from millions of US citizens, it confirmed to many that government overreach into private life was a documented fact. In this context, gangstalking became a sort of modern iteration of this distrust. While most professionals view targeted individual claims as symptoms of psychosis or trauma-induced delusion, the fact remains that the modern digital environment is saturated with real-time surveillance, behavioral tracking, and mass data harvesting. Smartphones, security cameras, and even advertising cookies all contribute to an atmosphere where privacy is no longer a default, but an exception. For many TIs, this blurring of reality becomes destabilizing. The internet, particularly in forums like Reddit, YouTube, and personal blogs, becomes a space to search for validation and to document the details of their experiences. Interestingly, while the gangstalking community often overlaps with conspiracy theory groups, such as QAnon and anti-vaccination circles, it remains a distinct phenomenon in that its core belief is centered not on ideology or politics, but on the individual's subjective experience of being targeted and manipulated. In fact, many say they have lost jobs, families, and homes as a result of what they claim is targeted disruption of their lives. From a purely psychological standpoint, some professionals argue that the gangstalking phenomenon is a mass psychogenic disorder. However, there remains a possibility that at least some reported experiences could be based in truth, and let me tell you why. The US military's 2004 full-spectrum dominance doctrine laid out a strategy for total control across all domains: land, air, sea, space, and most crucially, the psychological and informational landscapes. With today's capacity for bot-driven influence campaigns and digital propaganda, the idea of mass-scale behavior modification is moving away from the realm of science fiction into reality. And all this brings us back to Lisa Legg. She may not be the most dangerous person in the gangstalking world, but she's certainly one of the most influential. By blending emotionally charged personal anecdotes with vague allusions to government abuse, she creates a believable, monetizable illusion that hooks viewers, and unfortunately, people who are desperate for answers will believe her instantly. As for the r/gangstalking subreddit, it's still active and continues to receive daily posts from people who claim they are being harassed. Most posts go unnoticed by the wider public, and Reddit has taken steps to moderate or remove certain content, citing mental health concerns and misinformation policies. But here's the catch. Although surveillance operations have traditionally focused on high-ranking officials, political dissidents, or persons of national security interest, that's rapidly changing. With the expansion of global surveillance infrastructure, whether it's the Chinese Communist Party's citizen tracking system, Facebook's data mining, or predictive algorithms embedded into everyday platforms, the scope of who gets watched is undeniably expanding. What used to be reserved for quote-unquote important people is now diffused across entire populations. You don't have to be a target to be observed, you just have to participate in digital life. But Lisa certainly isn't helping people understand that reality. Instead, she's distorting it, making a spectacle while others suffer the psychological cost. With that, she's positioned herself at the heart of one of the internet's most dangerously overlooked conspiracies.